Hey guys, first regardsman here, and so I'll be talking about every single heroic weapon in Space Marine 2 patch 13 and ranking them on a tier list. Now, we have a ton of heroic weapons now in this game. We're also getting 6 more in patch 14, so there are about to be a tremendous amount to rank in the future, but for now, we're going to go through every single one of these and just give my overall thoughts on them and rank them accordingly. Now, number 1, we have the Xenophase Blade. Now, the Xenophase Blade was by far the most popular heroic weapon in patch 10. I mean, can you really blame anybody, because this is just a Deathwatch Necron blade as a power sword, and the heroic perk effect here is called Ancient Technology. You get 20% more damage on your power rakes, and you also get a increased wider angle on those power rakes. Now, the big thing about the Xenophase Blade is that number 1, we have gotten 2 buffs to this weapon as of patch 12 and patch 13, where patch 12 gave us a base damage buff on this, and patch 13 buffed up the speed of every single power sword in the game ever so slightly, and this one has benefited from that quite a bit. So I will say the Xenophase Blade right now in a much better spot than it used to be, and it was never really in a god-awful spot, but these days it is actually quite strong. Now, the heroic perk effect here, Ancient Technology, that will not only increase the wider angles on your power rakes, but also make those a horizontal and vertical angle. So this weapon is actually pretty good at power raking enemies out of the sky. So things like Enlightened Zangors, things like Zoanthropes, things like Neurothropes, they can all be chopped down by the power rakes on this weapon. And for that reason, I actually do like this weapon a ton on things like the Tech Marine and the Assault, because it does make up for some lacking headshot damage on those enemies occasionally with some of the setups. So for that reason, I would probably put the Xenophase Blade into A tier. I think this weapon is quite powerful right now. Maybe not quite in the S tier, because there are some weapons that are absolutely cracked in the heroic tier at the moment, but I would say it can go firmly into the A. It's pretty good. Next weapon here is the Power Gladius. Now, this one will give you 120% damage buff to your next melee attack with a lingering duration of 1 second that you can stack up to 3 times on a perfect dodge. And it's also a very fast, balanced combat knife here. And the Power Gladius, I would say, is a very powerful weapon in the game. This thing can one-shot bosses, it can do tremendous damage to Extremis and also the Majoris, of course, and for that reason, I would probably say the Power Gladius deserves to be in the S tier just because it can one-shot guys. On a tactical class, you can just straight up one-shot a Carnifex, one-shot a Hellbrute. It is super nice to just damage nuke somebody. I will say, on the siege mode, this weapon does fall off a bit because the damage reduction there gets ridiculous. It's really hard to shadow stab enemies, but in operations and hard strats and true solo, it is very strong. The Power Gladius is a super powerful pick, and I would say it firmly goes into the S tier. And also, the speed of this weapon makes the Horde Clear quite powerful as well. And even though a balanced weapon kind of sucks as a defense type, the potent effect here is definitely worthy of this tier. Next weapon here is the Honorific Relic tier bolt pistol. This one, it's a 3-round burst bolt pistol with okay gunstrike damage. They buffed up the gunstrike damage a little bit back in patch 12, and I'll be honest, guys, the Honorific Relic tier weapon, this thing just kind of is not that powerful right now. I don't think it's a very good option at all. Honorific Relic tier bolt pistol is just not that strong. I think it has fallen off a little bit. The only place I really find myself ever using this is a sniper class to trigger perk effects like Pattern of Excellence for 3 consecutive headshots. And because of that, I would probably put it in the C or B tier, probably C tier. In fact, I might go as far as say it's in D tier, because I usually find all these standard Relic tier bolt options to be a bit better than this, but it's not god awful. So I think, C tier is fine. We'll put it in C. It's not a very strong option. I would probably buy this one last if you're going for your first heroic weapon ever, but for now, it's, it's okay. Next weapon here is the Combi Melta. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Combi Melta. I think this weapon, as of right now, is a little underrated. The Melta portion of this is pretty damn good for stagger and horde clear, and the big benefit of a Combi Melta for the Melta portion over, say, a grenade launcher on the bolt rifle is that you can actually get all of your Melta rounds back off of a single ammo cache. You cannot get any grenades back on ammo caches. And also, the Melta portion makes it very easy to trigger perk effects like rapid health, and because of that, it is able to top top off your Tech Marine and your Tactical. It is not as strong as like a Heroic Heavy Bolter or things like that, or Heroic Heavy Bolt Rifle, excuse me, for the grenade launcher portion, but still pretty good. The headshot damage is quite strong if you build into that as well, and I'd say it's a pretty great utility weapon and a ton of fun to use. Maybe not like top tier, but pretty damn strong. I put it firmly in the B. I think Combi Melta definitely has a place in the game, and like one more buff could like probably push it up to A, but for now, B tier seems like a pretty fair spot for this one. Now, the next weapon we have here is the Relic Battle-Worn Heavy Plasma Incinerator. This weapon is a pure common shot heavy plasma incinerator. All you do is just rapid fire a fully automatic heavy plasma here. The contested health recovery is very high. The single target damage is also very high, and contrary to popular belief, this weapon also has a AoE on the common shot, so your AoE damage here is pretty good. The big place that this weapon sucks is your ammo economy. This one positively chews through ammo as opposed to every other weapon in the game pretty much for the heavy plasma, which is saying something because the heavy plasma is not a very ammo efficient gun at all. But my big issue with the Relic Battle-Worn is that the way the heavy plasma perk tree is currently set up is that you cannot actually take full advantage of all the perks in the perk tree, because there are charge shots there are charge shot perks that do nothing for this gun at all. Like 10% increased charge shot damage will do literally nothing for your heavy plasma incinerator on the heroic version, and because of that, I think that just kind of limits it a little bit in like perk variety and just like how fun it can be. And it's also kind of hard to not run out of ammo on this thing, so I usually find myself building this stuff like additional supplies, especially in the solo, but it is a very strong option. With strategic stand, it's also quite powerful for CHP recovery. I'd say this one goes firmly at the top of A. I know some people think this is like an S tier weapon. I don't know if I would go that far. I think the Power Gladius and a few other options are much better, but for now, Relic Battle-Worn, I put that firmly in the A. Now the next weapon here is the Heroic Chainsword Balance variant. Now, the Balanced Chainsword is pretty strong. I'm not a huge fan of the Heroic Chainsword for the stomp effect here. This basically gives you a combo skip to your stomp with bonus heavy attack damage, allows you to punch enemies over and over. I think this is currently one of the weaker heroic weapons in the entire game. I know I misnamed it here a little bit, but as far as like the stomp effect goes and stuff like that, I think a balanced parry window really limits this weapon, and I just don't like this one all that much. I think it's a little weaker at the moment. I'd probably put it in like maybe the top of C or like B, low B tier. I think low B tier is pretty fair. The damage here is not that bad, but like when it comes to other chainsword options, like the new White Scars chainsword, this one doesn't even come close at times. So for that reason, it's mostly like a fun little goofy build. It has a very gimmicky effect. I don't think it's all that strong, but you know, it's not like god awful, so I would put it in the B. Next weapon here is incredible. This is the Deathwatch Heroic Heavy Bolt Rifle. This is just a heavy bolt rifle or a standard heavy bolt rifle with a grenade launcher under attachment, and guess what? All it took for a grenade launcher, or excuse me, all it took for a heavy bolt rifle to be amazing in this game is a grenade launcher attached under it, because this is just the best heavy bolt rifle in the game in my opinion. And the heavy bolt rifle itself has been buffed up this patch because all bolter weapons now have an increase in their body shot damage. Now that does not affect your grenade launchers on this, but the increase in horde clear makes the bolter portion better, and the grenade launcher portion gives you incredible contested health recovery, and contested health recovery in Space Marine 2 is like one of the best things you can have for the classes that have a Deathwatch Heroic Heavy Bolter or Heavy Bolt Rifle in the first place, because the Tech Marine benefits from this a ton, the tactical benefits from this weapon a ton. When you build into proper perks on this, it is an incredible weapon. This is actually like the best weapon on the Tech Marine currently, and I think it's like a strict upgrade over the other heavy bolt rifle options, and for that reason I would put it in the S tier, because it's just the best heavy bolt rifle in the entire game. And like I think that firmly puts it at the top of the heroic tier because it's just the best type of its variant. So for that reason, up here, I think it is a powerful weapon, an incredible option for any class it's on, except for like maybe the heavy, because the heavy has way better options. But for tactical and tech marine, it's really good. Next weapon here is the wrapped bolt sniper rifle. This is the infinite ammo headshot weapon on the sniper class. This is the best sniper weapon in the entire game in my opinion. It is definitely the best bolt sniper in my opinion, because it just one-shots guys. I mean, this thing trivializes entire boss fights on its own. It will one-shot zoanthropes. It will almost like, you know, 5-shot or 6-shot a Neurothrope with like Auspex scan occasionally. It is a very, very powerful weapon in the game. The only downside is it kind of sucks on chaos for like most players in the game, like really any player. I think most people will struggle at some point to hit like chaos spawn properly with this, and because of that it does like flounder a bit versus that faction, but there are a ton of ways to make up for that. And I think that this being the best sniper weapon in terms of just like, you know, every single headshot being a top tier option that replenishes all of your ammo, I think it's just S tier. Like, it's hard to not put it up here. It is such a good damn weapon. It is just so fucking strong, and I would say S tier for sure. Next weapon here is also S tier. This is the Argent Edge. Now, the Argent Edge got added in patch 12. This weapon is probably the best heroic weapon in the entire game, okay? This is a fencing combat knife that gives you a stagger on every single parry and gives you damage on the enemy on every single parry. Now, the parry window is lowered to like a block window, but that really does not matter at all, like 99% of the time, because this is just the best defensive tool in all of Space Marine 2 right now. In my opinion, it is the best fencing weapon for sure. And the thing about this is, if you are able to stagger a triple Ravener on like the first attack in their triple chain, or like a melee Terminator, that just frees you up so much in this game. It's also incredible for farming gun strikes because every parry gives you a gun strike. So on Tech Marine, this is just like the de facto best weapon. So Argent Edge, you know, the fact that it's just so fucking powerful, keeping you alive on like TAC and Tech Marine that really need that to happen, it's just a top of S. This is like the best combat knife in the game. I do think it is slightly better than the Power Gladius currently, and for that reason, it goes at the top of S tier. Now, the next weapon here is the Wrapped Instigator Carbine. This is the best Instigator Carbine in the game. It has a 5-round burst mechanic. That 5-round burst allows you to one burst a Majora's ranged enemy like a Rubric Marine or a Venom Can Warrior on the sniper class, a targeted shot. The ability to just like dish out a tremendous amount of damage on the Wrapped Instigator cannot be understated. It is significantly better than the Relic tier options on the Instigator Carbine, to the point that I don't really hear anybody talk about the normal Instigator Carbine anymore. Whenever I hear someone say, oh, I'm using the Instigator Carbine, it's always the Wrapped Instigator, because 2 extra rounds in that burst on top of a 10 plus firepower, higher base damage than all the other Relic tier options, it just makes this thing's DPS ridiculous. And on classes like Sniper and the Vanguard that have access to this weapon, that's where you want to be in the first place. It's like a medium to close range. So for that reason, I would say this one goes also into the S tier. I mean, it's just a strictly better option than the standard Relic tier options there. So for that reason, up here in the S for sure, Wrapped Instigator, you really can't go wrong with this one. Next weapon here is the Chains of Duty. This is the heroic heavy bolter. This weapon is the best heavy weapon in my opinion for operations and hard strats. It gives you a fencing parry window on the heavy, and if you're unaware, the heavy class has a balanced parry window in Space Marine 2, and what that means is you have a 10 frame negative startup on your parry. When you hit your parry button on the heavy class, you cannot achieve a perfect parry unless you preemptively parry the enemy. This weapon has a fencing window, so because of that, it is like the de facto best option for like dealing with chaos spawn, dealing with melee like attack chains in the game. And the Chains of Duty also has a hidden perk effect where it will reach its max fire rate immediately upon pulling the trigger, unlike the Relic tier option. So your DPS goes from like 0 to 100, and you also have a 50% increased parry window here. And also, because of that max fire rate, your contested health recovery is super damn high on this thing, and you also cool down your gun immediately on a gun strike. And the only real downside of this one is that when you do overheat, which does not happen very often, it does take significantly longer to cool down as opposed to the other Relic tier options. But that being said, Chains of Duty, still the best option in the entire game. I think this is an S tier weapon. I think this is the best heavy bolter in the game. I think it's the best heavy weapon in the game currently. So for that reason, Chains of Duty up here in the S. It is the strictly superior upgrade in my opinion to the other heavy bolter options. So we're putting it up here. Next weapon here is Retributions Bequest. This weapon may not seem that good initially. Basically, the perk effect here is no help is coming. Whenever you like shoot a body shot on a reinforcement calling enemy, you will stop the reinforcement call. If you headshot them, you kill them in one shot. Now, in this game, the Chaos Spawn are like bugged to shit on their reinforcement calls. Sometimes it is damn near impossible to stop them from reinforcement calling because they just do not stop calling if you like slap them 50 times. This is like one of the only ways to actually stop that. And on top of that, the gun strike damage here is the highest in the game, especially after the 13.1 hotfix. And it's also just a very ammo efficient weapon as opposed to what you'd expect, because basically in Space Marine 2, when you stop a reinforcement calling enemy, they will almost always go enraged on hard strats and the absolute difficulty, and because you were able to get that one-shot headshot on this gun, you are eliminating a reinforcement call, an enraged enemy's full heal, and also just saving yourself a ton of ammunition, which is why the max ammo capacity on this gun is lower overall. And I would say this one's an A tier weapon. I don't think I'd put it in the S tier. I think there are like reasons to use other secondaries in the game, and also things like other heavy bolt pistols in the game. But that being said, it's still very strong. I would still put it up in the A tier. I think it's on the level of all of these. Next weapon here is Storm's Dominion. Okay, this might be a controversial take. I see people glaze this weapon all the damn time in Space Marine 2. Like, Storm's Dominion, why aren't you using the Heroic Thunderhammer? Because the Heroic Thunderhammer kind of sucks, okay? This weapon is not that strong. I know a ton of people think this one puts out a ton of DPS because you have all these shock areas, and on the Bulwark class, it is pretty good. On Assault, this thing is just like straight up shit in my opinion. The only time I ever find myself using this on Assault is for like a Gunstrike build, and when it comes to the other Thunderhammer options, what you want on the Thunderhammer is like Aftershock damage and Ground Slam damage, because that's how you hit breakpoints in this game, and also the staggering effect of the block Thunderhammer, especially on Bulwark, is super useful to actually pull off your aftershocks. And the like shock area effect here is not god awful, it's just one of the weakest in the game, and like they don't do a ton of damage. It is super overrated. This weapon is just not that strong. It may technically be the best fencing option for the Thunderhammer in the game, but the fencing option for the Thunderhammer is also the worst option for the Thunderhammer in Space Marine 2. I'd probably say this one goes in like top of C tier. I think all of these are better than it currently. It's not like that strong at all. It's not like awful. Okay, I'll say that. It's not an awful weapon, it's just not it. Next weapon here is Death's Grasp. This one has the Heroic Perk Effect follow-up shot, where you get 200% bonus damage on your light attacks, and every single time that you do a execute on an enemy, you will get a Gunstrike opportunity, and on top of that, you have a 50% reduced damage in your charge attacks. Now, this is probably the easiest weapon to use in the entire game for melee, because all you have to do is just play Space Marine 2, punch guys in the face with light attack spam, get an execute, and usually you're playing this on Assault and Bulwark because they're the only ones with access to the Power Fist, so you'll probably have armor reinforcement, which means you punch a guy in the face, you get your execute, and then you shoot another guy, get your armor back, probably lower him down enough to get another execute, rinse and repeat. It is an incredibly safe weapon. I think this one is very strong. I don't think it's like quite on the S tier, because I think the block Power Fist and balance Power Fist are still better, but it is firmly up in A. And losing 50% damage on your charge attacks, I mean, your charge attacks still hit like a truck on the Power Fist here because the Power Fist is built different. So I'd say this one still firmly goes up into A. Definitely a great option, an amazing option for new players like punched up into higher difficulties. Now, I'll tell you what actually sucks ass though. Ultimate ratio. This thing is D. This thing is fucking dog shit. People try to gaslight me into this thing being good. There is no reason to ever take this weapon over the balance option on the Omnissian Axe, or like even the normal fencing option sometimes. Okay, maybe it's better than the normal fencing option, but the balance option will do more damage on lunging attacks and like charge attacks than this one anyways, and also hits breakpoints to actually one combo Majoris on your melee builds. This one needs a fat buff, and like, I'll be honest guys, the ultimate ratio needs like an entire perk rework, because this thing is just shit. Like, the lunging attacks here only reaching the balanced version is just so fucking bad. If you're taking a fencing weapon, you're just taking Argent Edge anyway. So like, this one is by far the worst heroic weapon in the game in my opinion, and for that reason it goes right down to D. Alright, the next weapon here is the Heroic Plasma Pistol. This just got added in patch 13, and this one has the Overcharged Plasma Coils perk effect, where basically you only have charged shots, no light shots at all, and the first charge shot will overheat you unless you take the charge cooling perk. Otherwise, you only shoot like 2 shots or so. Now, this weapon, okay, if you want to put this in S tier, I understand, because this one can one-shot Majoris. It is basically a pocket heavy plasma incinerator, because it shoots out a giant AoE blast with like an actual artillery arc basically, as opposed to normal straight shot of the plasma pistol. The only reason I wouldn't really put this in the A tier, or like the S tier I should say, is because despite the tremendous damage on like tactical and tech marine, if you don't have a primary option like the heroic heavy bolt rifle, like the bolt rifle grenade launcher to get your HP back, or some other variant to get your HP back in your primary slot, you're kind of like stuck with no CHP recovery on this thing unless you charge up a 5 business day charge shot and get an execute on enemies. So like on the assault class, I think it's not very strong at all. But on the Tech Marine and the Tactical, it is very powerful because you can just do ridiculous damage on this thing. And you know what? I'll say, we'll put it in the S tier. This thing is pretty fucking strong, okay? The ability to just like obliterate guys is pretty damn good. This weapon has saved my life many times on Tech Marine, and for that reason alone, it belongs in S tier. It's so fucking strong. And on Tactical, I mean, Aspect scan with this kind of goes insane. Next weapon here is the Encarmine Axe. Now this is the new block heroic power axe, and a lot of people don't like this one, and the reason I think is that they don't really understand just yet how to use it properly. So basically you have double the speed on this one of a normal block power axe, and you have a cleaving potential of 17, which gives you a tremendous cleave on your power waves, on your power backstep. And this weapon's heroic perk effect is called Sanguine Edge, and it allows you to like basically keep your power backstep for later. So like you get a power backstep off of your power stance from a perfect block. As long as you don't heavy attack after, you can just do it later. So you're more easy, or you are able to more easily set up a power backstep into more enemies with that fat cleaving potential. Now this weapon is very strong in like siege mode and operations and hard strats in my opinion. I think this one is super fun to use. Also the horde clear option is quite good. And a big thing about this power axe is that it allows you to go into perk paths you otherwise could not. So you can take things like restoration, you can take things like the bottom perks for discharge and not lose remotely as much, because the base damage here is a bit lower, but that actually helps you out in like overall utility perks. So for that reason, I would say this one goes up into the A tier. It's pretty damn good. Like I think this one is definitely like on the level of the Xenophase Blade in terms of like effectiveness, and for that reason I put it up here. Now the next weapon is the White Scars Chainsword S tier. This weapon's him. Okay, this weapon is the best chainsword. Actually, no, it goes all the way up here. S tier. This is like the second best heroic weapon in the entire game, in my opinion, right now. It is such a powerful weapon. This one gives you 3 block charges instead of 2. The heroic perk effect is called Fury of Chigoris. Basically, you have reduced damage buff, or a reduced damage buff on your second block charge, but your third one will give you a further damage buff up to like 1.52 times your total damage. And this has an 8 speed and a block weapon. You also have a 4-second lingering duration on that third block charge. This weapon is incredible, guys. It is so damn strong. This is like best in slot for a lot of classes in the game right now, especially if you're taking like a chainsword. The only reason it's not like best in slot overall, in my opinion, is because the Argent Edge exists in Space Marine 2, and White Scars Chainsword, as far as like tack is concerned, this is like one of his best options in the entire game. It is the best chainsword in the entire game by far, in my opinion. The other hero chainsword like looks up at the man in the mountain and was like, man, I wish I was a White Scars chainsword. Please, for love of God, buff me and give me like a block window. But this one is just, it's the best chainsword in the game. Okay, like straight up. I've seen some people say they don't like this one. I don't know I don't know why, because it's just that strong and is significantly better than the other options, and also reaches like the same damage amount, if not greater damage amounts, than the other block chainsword in the Relic tier without the speed loss, because of how powerful those block charges actually are. If you take the duelist perk on the assault class of this, you're going to be doing even more and have like a much easier time getting those block charges for like newer players. So definitely an S tier weapon and belongs up here. I hope all the future heroic weapons we get are like on the level of this one, because the White Scars Chainsword is just kind of like Timothy for block weapons in the game currently out of the heroic options. I mean, granted, we only have 2, but of the 2, this one is a supreme S tier for sure, and one of the best weapons in the whole game. And that is pretty much everything there is for the heroic tier list of patch 13. I think this is a pretty fair assessment of all the weapons in this patch. So there are a couple things that might move up, like maybe you want to move the Power Axe over the Xenophase Blade, maybe you want to move the Relic Battle Worn Heavy Plasma into S tier, maybe you want to like move the Heroic Plasma down to A, but either way, I think this is like overall representative of where I think these belong, and you can let me know what you think is strongest in this game. If you think the White Scars Chainsword sucks, maybe you don't like the Argent Edge for some reason, but as far as like what would I pick first for my first heroic weapon in the game, I would probably just pick from this S tier list. Like, you can't really go wrong. And as far as like best options that are available on the most classes, that would probably go to like the White Scar's Chainsword and Argent Edge, because these two weapons, like, they're just best in slot for the classes they're on pretty much. And for that reason, I think like a good pick as like your first accolade expenditure. And that is all I have to say in this video, guys. Let me know what you think about your heroic tier list, and maybe you disagree with me, and let me know that in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. If you like content like this, subscribe for more. And if you want to watch me live to ask me questions about the game or just come hang out, you can find me here on YouTube or on Twitch with a link in the video description. I'll set a link to my community Discord. And as always, take it easy. Thanks for watching. Bye.